What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. Now look, I'm going to be really honest with you. I've never been one of these people that run around saying things like everything happens for a reason, mostly because, I don't live in the Bronze Age. However, and much to the detriment of the opinion of others, even though I'm highly educated, I do have common sense, so I can recognize patterns and coincidences. And yes, I get it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's what we fight wars for, supposedly, because you have the right to say whatever it is that's on your mind. However, when somebody calls you out on your clearly bigoted and racist comments, you don't get to throw the victim card and say that somebody's talking down to you. No, they're dissenting. That is a difference. That's also part of having common sense. Also, in a civilized society, what you want to do when somebody disagrees with you or challenges you on certain topics, mainly bigoted and racist comments, you engage in a dialogue. You don't engage in verbal diarrhea. Using words like getting taken for a ride, who the hell talks like that? In any event, that segues brilliantly into many of the themes of this film, and we're going to go into it. As I mentioned before, one of the books that was most influential to me was the book by Elie Wiesel, Night. Now, it's a strange thing because at the time as I was reading the book, I never even understood the concept of Holocaust deniers, but again, I was in the 5th grade. As I grew as an undergrad and really started studying the subject of the Second World War, particularly the Holocaust, and the interplay between all the countries, I got to understand that there are people that actually deny that this pivotal event in history actually ever happened. Now, there is a saying that you see in most academic worlds and circles that you can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts, and that's just one of the themes of this film. Now, this book follows the true story of Deborah Lipstadt. She's actually the author of History on Trial, My Day in Court with a Holocaust Denier. Now, in 1996, Deborah Lipstadt was actually sued by a man named David Irving, who she accused of being a notorious Holocaust denier. David Irving is a British citizen who was notorious for being somewhat bigoted and kind of a shady character. He's played brilliantly by Timothy Spall. And what ensues is an amazing courtroom drama here. So you see, when you get sued in a British court for being liable or some kind of defamation, it works a little bit differently than American courts. As with any American court, the burden of proof is on the state to make sure that they make their case. But in a British system, it works a little bit differently. As a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite, especially in cases of liability and defamation of character, which means that the burden of proof is on the accused to make sure that they clear the name. Now, one of the greatest things about this film is that it's essentially a film about the opinions of one man and his strong belief that essentially the Holocaust never happened, but it goes much deeper than that. Think about this for a minute. You have to actually prove in court, theoretically, that a Holocaust actually happened, and the burden of proof for that is extremely difficult. We all know that the Holocaust happened. I don't think that there's anybody who has some common sense could ever say that this event never took place, but proving that in a court of law is what's really at the heart of this incredibly well-written narrative. Now, obviously it's Oscar season, so this film will come up again, and for good reason. This is one of the most brilliant performances I've ever seen by Rachel Weisz. One of the reasons I loved her character in the film is at the onset, she is unwilling to get involved in discussions or discourse or even acknowledge anybody who is a Holocaust denier. And of course, anybody who's in higher education or academia will understand that this runs contrary to our entire purpose for being. We want to get involved in discussions and discourse, and this is one of the most fascinating aspects of this character. It makes it somewhat paradoxical and multifaceted. Timothy Spall also gives a commanding performance here. He is incredibly charismatic, if not somewhat arrogant. Now, one of the things that scared the hell out of me about this film is that I actually started to kind of make sense of some of his arguments, even though I knew it was completely full of shit. But here's the thing. What's more dangerous, a man that is trying to con you or a man that believes the con? This is one of the most brilliant performances, aside from Rachel Weisz, that I've seen in a long time, and here's the thing, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an Oscar nod as well. Tom Wilkinson is also in this film, and let me tell you, this guy is at the top of his game. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about his character because I feel that it would kind of ruin the movie. Even though this is a matter of record, I don't want to spoil anything because he is fantastic in this film. Guys, I also have to say, apart from the courtroom drama, this is an incredibly emotional film, and one of the reasons it is that you actually go to places like Auschwitz, where these events actually took place. And I can't tell you how almost mind-bending it is, mesmerizing to see these locations, and when you stop to think, these things that they're talking about, the things that are being denied here and being fought for the existence of, actually took place in these locations and elevated this film to another plane of consciousness. It is absolutely astounding. Guys, it kind of goes without saying, but Denial is a fantastic film that shouldn't be missed by anybody. And one of the reasons I love this film is that it really explores one of the darkest chapters in human history, but it also goes beyond that into the psychology of those people who think that these events actually never took place, and how corrosive it is that people distort and pervert facts, make it their own, and try to pass it off as something different. You know, it's a reminder to every generation that the events during the Holocaust should never be allowed to happen again, and also that we should never deny that these events happened. Otherwise, we might make the same mistakes again. Also, there is a message here that words do matter, that the things that you post or print or say carry weight, and you have to be responsible with the things that you put out there. Because just like people who have accused me of being highly educated, that's also having some common sense. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on the film Denial. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. Jesus Christ, who the hell doesn't know who Josef Mengele is? For crying out loud. If only we had a big search engine that could look these things up. Like, you know, quote-unquote food for thought, and Jesus Christ, I hate using mindless cliches. I think I'll go back to doing better things like letting somebody take all my money and take me for a ride, whatever the hell that means.